name is Jaimz Waters. I'm 27 years old. I first got into boxing when I was 22, and what kind of drew me into the sport, I was in Merced for college. I thought I was going to be a basketball player, but we ended up losing every game, and I felt like I trained pretty hard for that season. So at that point, I was like, I'm done with team sports. Let me try to find something, and then boxing ended up finding me. We was in a room with 5 of us, 5 teammates. Of course, you know, testosterone being in the same spot. It's like, well, let's get some gloves. And somebody it just seems like the gloves just came out of nowhere. I don't even know how they got into the house, to be honest with you. So we started like just boxing with each other in the back. And then my friend Gilbert, he's from Modesto. He's seen us and he's like, just come down to the boxing gym over here. And I went and I was just there every day. After training for about 6 months, just going to the gym, not taking it serious at all. My coach Mo, he's 73 years old. He used to fight in smokers. He was in the Navy, or I'm sorry, I don't want to get it like misquoted, but one of the branches of the military. And then he was just like, man, you doing all this training for what? Like, you're in here every day, 2 times a day. Why don't you go ahead and get your booklet and see what you can do? And it was like one of those, what are you? I understand if you're scared, because that's how I get motivated. If somebody says I can't do something, he's like, oh, yeah, I understand if you're scared, if you don't want to do it. So I'm like, man, I could beat anybody. So with that, it was just, I accepted the challenge. 5 fights. I fought 2 times in Fresno, or 1 time in Modesto, and 2 times in Merced. I didn't lose any fights, didn't even lose a round. We got off to a pretty good start, and then, of course, I got somebody pregnant. Yeah. We figured out that my son's mom, my girlfriend at the time, that she was pregnant, and there's no money in amateur boxing. It's just all for the love. So you got to provide for your family, and being in the gym twice a day, 3 times a day sometimes, not doing anything, you can't do that because that's counterproductive into trying to provide a way for your family. So it kind of took me away. Financial reasons took me away. I wanted to get a little bit more established so that way I didn't feel like I was just wasting time at the gym. I didn't know how to, I was nervous being a first-time father, of course. I didn't have any answers. My dad was in Richmond at the time, so I didn't really have him to like, you know, rely on as far as like fatherly information on a day-to-day basis. So I was in a like scared. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I just knew if I didn't have a plan laid out for me, for my son, for my family at the time, then I couldn't give my boxing my all if I couldn't give my family my all. Don't give up. Don't give up and train harder than everybody else. It goes to what we was talking about earlier. If you put in 110%, you're going to get 110% out of it. If you put in 85%, you're going to get 85% back. But 85% is not going to be good enough to somebody. If you're in the ring with somebody who's giving it 110, 120%, things can really go left. Really go left. The type of advice I would give to somebody who's dealing with the duality of boxing and a personal life is, if your mind isn't clear, if you're not 100% dedicated to what you're doing at the time, then don't step in the ring, because it is a dangerous sport. I'm not sure, as you know, over the past month, 2 boxers died in the ring. So if you don't have a clear mind, if you're not really 100% sure that this is what you want to do, then get everything done outside of the ring first, because boxing's always going to be there. My confidence, I didn't know what I was doing. That's how I've grown. When I first was getting into it, I was a little bit young, a little bit naive. I just thought that since I was already athletic, I can get in there and let that carry me. The second time around, it's not like that. It's more smart. You understand that boxing is a sport, but it's also a business, and accompanied with that, you can seriously get hurt. So I think all that wrapped in one, it's like a temptation. It's like a temptation. Like, it's like skydiving. It gets your heart going. And so coming back this time, I understand it from like not a veteran's perspective, because I don't want to take away from people who's been doing it longer than me, but I'm just more conditioned to the sport and the lifestyle. So this time around, it's not just me being young and going off athleticism. I'm using my mind a lot more this time around. So it's cool. It's cool. I don't have so much fear that I used to have. So when I first started off, I was purely motivated by, I'm not gonna get hit. I don't want to get touched. I don't want to put myself in any sort of danger. Like I said, kind of flirting with disaster a little bit. This time, what's gonna make me a bigger threat like I said, it's just going to be wisdom, knowledge, ring generalship. Even though I was away from boxing for so long, once you're a student of something, you still continue to learn about it. So going back, watching old Mac, treating it as if it's like a class. Like if somebody would if somebody would pursue their passion, if they're going to be an engineer or something like that. Like if somebody was going to college, this time I have the mindset that it's not for fun. This could potentially be a job. If it's up to me, in 2 years, I feel like I'll be ready to compete at the professional level, and not as far as to win a championship or a title, but just for me personally, to say that I was a professional athlete, because I've been doing sports since I was a kid, but you can't really claim to be the best at a sport unless you professional, unless you got some sort of stature. Nobody will respect you. Now I want to be able to look at my son and be like, yeah, I did it. I went professional at something. I didn't quit. I actually seen to it through. So regardless of what happens at that point, around the 2-year mark, being professional will be cool. And I can't really think 5 years down the line, but just to kind of give it a thought, I'll be training my son hopefully, because he'll be like 9 or 10. So if it don't go with me, he likes boxing and stuff right now. He has his own gloves and things like that. He has red gloves that he calls fire hands. So 5 years, I'll probably be training him in his corner, and then it would be cool even for us both to be amateurs, because you can be an amateur boxer all the way up until 50 years old. There's guys that are fighting for so long. So let's just to kind of give that answer about 5 years, it would be cool. Me and my son competing on the same day. He's fighting the little junior novice levels. I'm doing my thing. You know, that would be cool. That's something, if I can see, like in a perfect world, that's the 5-year mark. The marathon continues.